Buying and insuring a Range Rover in 2025 is a huge risk. I should know. Yes, they're stunning cars, but with more and more of them getting stolen than ever before, insurance prices are only going one way.
9 thieves broke in to steal $500,000 worth of high-end cars.
Range Rovers and other high-end vehicles are disappearing in Greenwich.
We are going back to our breaking news now. Police in pursuit of a stolen Range Rover.
So let's get under the hood of what I'm paying for my insurance, what those factors are that are making them so high, and how insurance companies are responding to the market at the moment. If you are looking to buy and insure a Range Rover, or you already own a Range Rover and you're renewing your insurance, chances are you are vaguely aware of some of the issues with insuring these cars. The Range Rover, most of the models, the Sport, the Vogue, the Evoque, the Velar, is one of, if not the most stolen cars in the UK. With car thefts of this mark at an all-time high, it's pushing insurance premiums through the roof. A lot of these cars are stolen to demand. They're driven to ports and docks and airfields, and they're taken abroad either in pieces or as a whole, never to be seen again. And as with any insurance, it's all risk-based calculations driving financial factors. The higher the risk, the more premium you're going to pay. So why exactly is it Range Rover? First and foremost, in the past there has been quite a hole in the security features of Range Rover. Something to do with the way the encryption works between the key and the BMS, the body management system, is easily hacked or intercepted, interpreted by people who might want your car through nefarious activity, shall we say, making this car very easy to steal. Now, Mark McCann did a video where they just drive up next to a Range Rover in a Tesco's car park with a laptop, don't even get out of the car they're in, and unlock the Range Rover from their laptop. So that makes these cars quite easy to steal. Pair that with the fact that it's a luxury car or premium car, desirable, and if people are wanting that through less than legitimate avenues, it does make it quite an easy car to obtain on the black market. The fact that this car can be so easily stolen is in turn driving up insurance prices for consumers like you and I. Second on the list as to why the insurance is so expensive with Range Rovers is the cost to repair them. Now, I've done a video on the reliability of this car, and whilst it hasn't been horrendous, knock on wood, it hasn't been fantastic either. And as with anything, the more expensive something is, the more costly its maintenance schedule and its replacement parts are going to be. It's just a fact of economics. So in my reliability video, which I'll put up there, I did touch on things such as the more advanced the headlights are, the more expensive they can be to replace. This has got the matrix LEDs, so it will split the light around traffic. And if I'm involved in a collision that damages the front end of this car, it's going to be quite costly to replace those headlights because they are stuck to the front of the car and normally the first thing that suffers damage in such a collision. All of these factors increase the repair bill of the car. So when an insurer has to either repair or replace a vehicle, the costs are going higher, and that's only going to get pushed one way, and that is downstream to the consumer, you and I. Let me give you an idea. My insurance renewal came through for this car, and I consider myself quite fortunate. You hear of a lot of people who finance one of these cars. They agree to a fixed term PCP, 3 years for example, and at the end of year one the insurance has gone sky high. We're talking quotes for 8 to 10, if not even £20,000 for insurance, and that's the insurers saying, we're not interested, we're going to price ourselves out of this, we probably need to provide a quotation to retain our de facto status, but we're not interested, we're going to price ourselves out of the market. Now, normal consumers with their head screwed on like you and I would say, yeah, I'm not paying that, that's a lot of money, I can't pay it, I won't pay it. Which puts you in quite a tricky position if you've got outstanding finance on your car. So for Range Rover owners across the country, it has left a lot of people in a very tricky situation. Now, I consider myself fortunate in the fact that my insurance renewal did go up, and that's not why I consider myself fortunate, it's how much it went up by. As a percentage, it was quite high. It went up by over 50% on renewal, and that's with my current insurer, and they've increased my premium from £1,200 to £1,700 for a year. Now, I do use it for business. I've got my wife, Mrs. GB, insured on the car. She's 29, quite an expensive car for a 29-year-old to be insured on. But also, the business mileage doesn't help. I have got quite a high mileage in comparison to the F-Type on the insurance, so I think I've got this down at 15,000 a year. The F-Type maybe does 5,000. So they all play into the risk factor. So as a percentage, it's gone up quite a lot. However, when you look at it in pounds and pence, it's nowhere near as horrendous as it could be for some of those people who are being priced out of the market of their own car and are stuck with a finance obligation that they're having to pay for effectively a driveway ornament that doesn't go anywhere. So what have Jaguar Land Rover done about this to address the security issues in the systems on their cars? Yep, they've been a little bit slow to react, and if you have a used vehicle that's a couple of years old, you've probably been left feeling a little bit unloved and out on a limb and unsupported. They've done two things. They've released their own insurance policy. So when you buy a brand new Land Rover, you can insure your car through Jaguar Land Rover for the first year. And I guess, really, you know, the cold end of that is they don't want their sales to be impacted because people cannot insure their cars. They've got a product that they have on the market which isn't very saleable. Beyond that, they won't quote you for approved used vehicles. You cannot take out insurance at this point in time through Jaguar Land Rover for anything other than a brand new vehicle bought direct from Jaguar Land Rover. And the second thing they've done is they've released a TSB, Technical Service Bulletin, or effectively a recall, which is a free software update. And I'll put the detail of that down below. And what that does is when you go in for a service, as part of the routine health check of the car, they'll apply this technical bulletin, this update, software update, to the computers of your car, which, as far as I'm aware, improves that hole in the security being the key and the encryption between the key and the car. Now, has this brought down insurance premiums? Depends where you're looking. Some people I know who work in insurance say insurers will consider these factors if you've had that software update done. I've not seen that myself. There's nowhere you can put that when you tell people on the phone. They don't seem that interested or don't have a clue what you're talking about, and those premiums are still coming in an eye-wateringly high value. Other things people do is they will fit ghost immobilizers or very similar products. That's just one example of many of the same thing. And they're quite a cool idea. You have to put in a sequence of buttons from your existing, OEM buttons. So it might be to undo your immobilizer, to unimmobilize the car. You would press your cruise control button, your heated seat button, pull the handbrake, and then turn the volume up 2 notches. Something to that effect. And they're quite good. It's not my cup of tea. I don't want to be faffing around with that every time I get in the car. Ultimately, if I'm paying that much for the insurance year on year, if this car gets stolen, whether it be off the driveway, whether it be while we're out and about, I will be exploring the limits of the insurance policy. I pay enough for it. They can blooming well pay out for it if the car goes missing. Another thing a lot of people do is visual deterrence. So if you're a thief and you want to get away with a car as quick as possible, and you've got 2 Range Rovers parked next to each other, one's locked, just sat there as if you got out of it and walked away and locked it, and the other one's locked with a big yellow steering wheel clamp on it. Which one are you going to go for? You're going to go for the one without the steering wheel clamp because it's more attractive and easy to steal than the one with the clamp. So the other thing people do is visual deterrence. And whilst that's not going to reduce your insurance premium, it will reduce the likelihood of your car being stolen, hopefully at least. Other things you can do, you can put CCTV up around the house. That's another visual deterrent. If you've got an alarm, not only on the house, but make sure you're locking the car, double locking for the alarm and deadlocking. Anything you can do to make yourself less attractive as a target than the next person will only help in reducing your risk. Again, these things will not reduce your insurance, but they don't hurt either. Other things to consider, and I've touched on this in previous videos, in particular the one about the cost of insuring the F-Type, is if you're driving one of these cars and you've got the glass roof, do make sure that the windscreen cover on your policy extends to sunroofs, or I think they're starting to call these moon roofs, for the very reason that if that breaks, it's going to be very expensive to replace. In my previous F-Pace before this car, the roof did crack and the replacement glass luckily was covered by the insurance. They tried getting out of it, found a bit of policy wording that clearly stated that they would cover it, and they paid the £2,600 bill to replace that glass under the windscreen cover of the policy. So make sure, if you don't want any nasty surprise bills coming down the road, that you do have that level of cover in place.
Cars are hot and others are hotter.
It's a beautiful car. I love it.
Upscale residents of Greenwich and Darien love their Land Rovers. So do thieves. Last year, they were grabbing Porsches. This year, Land Rovers. Everyone seems to know a victim.
So hopefully that's gone some way of showing you exactly what it's like insuring one of these cars. It is imperative to get a quote before you go and buy one. Do not sign up to a finance agreement or even purchase one cash without knowing what you're walking into. Anyway, thanks for sticking around for another video, guys. I do appreciate all the support. So if you haven't already, drop a sub by hitting that button down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
What's this called then, this latest car?
It's called the Range Rover.